Hi, welcome to the In My Opinion show with host Ronald Berry Robinson and friends. My name is Denise Smith Allen. Today and every day you can see on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week, the In My Opinion show. We're also aired on popular sites like YouTube, Ustream, Facebook, and MySpace. You can type in the In My Opinion show in the search engine. The In My Opinion show is also seen on Comcast Cable Television, Channel 17, Michigan, every Saturday at 6 p.m. and Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. The In My Opinion show is seen on Comcast Cable Television, Channel 68 in Detroit, Michigan, 7 days weekly. Consult your community calendar. Today, it is my extreme honor and pleasure to introduce to you Attorney Glenn Cotton, who is a candidate for the 68th District Court. Welcome, Glenn.
Well, thank you for such a warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here, Denise.
All right. Well, we're going to jump right into this interview. We're so excited to hear from you today, and we want our viewers to know who Glenn Cotton is. So by way of background, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Denise. First and foremost, I grew up in Sunridge Apartments, which is right across the street from Northern High School. I learned how to play basketball at Anderson Elementary School. I learned how to swim at Northern High School, and I played baseball at Bassett Park. So growing up in Flint, I have very fond memories. I graduated from high school in 1985 from Carmen High School. I then went on to the University of Michigan for my undergraduate. There in 1989, I graduated from the University of Michigan along with Glenn Rice, and we were able to celebrate a national championship down in Michigan. So I have quite a fond memory of Flint and of growing up here. And I just wanted to be proud of where I'm from, and I'm always prideful of Flint. And then I went on to the University of Detroit Law School. There was a brief stop before that at Vanderbilt University, and unfortunately I didn't do well there. But I was able to get back on my feet at the University of Detroit, graduate, take the bar exam, pass it the first time, and I've been practicing law for 15 years ever since.
Wow. Wow. Very, very exciting background. So Flint is your home, and you're proud of being a Flintstone. That's really good, because we know that there have been so many things that have happened in Flint that's kind of given us a black eye. But we're so glad that you're stepping out here on faith, and you've decided that this is something that you want to do. So tell me, as a practicing attorney with 15 years experiences, I'm sure you have had some ups and some downs. So kind of give us a highlight of your career.
Oh, a highlight. I mean, first and foremost, when you first are young, you don't have the experience that you get as you practice over 15 years. So I would indicate as a young attorney, I needed to seek mentoring, and I needed to have input from older attorneys as to exactly what it is I was doing. I knew that I wanted to serve, and I wanted to help out those who were in a less fortunate position than myself, and that's always been my motto, is being able to give back and to give those who are not in the same position, those who are less fortunate. So it's one thing to provide scholarships and things to people who are doing extremely well. It's another thing to provide encouragement and scholarship to those who aren't. And I tend to try to help those who are down and out, to try to uplift themselves and put themselves to let them know that, yeah, somebody can be from Flint, somebody can stumble, somebody can still obtain their dreams, but most importantly, you can be a productive member of society and do the things that you want in life that God intended.
Okay. So, having had some mentors, does anybody kind of stand out in your mind as someone who's giving you some strong advice or something that you have kind of held on to?
Oh, I've had the fortunate pleasure of being able to be mentored by many fine attorneys. Albert Hatchett, when I was clerking at the district court judge, I clerked for Judge Harold Bogarelli in Oakland County while I was in law school, and I had the opportunity to see Albert Hatchett, to see a Cornelius Pitts, to see a very high-profile, high-quality attorney in play, and I just think that it was something that I was very fortunate. And then after I left Judge Bogarelli, I was a research attorney at Recorder's Court, which is the largest criminal court in the state. So there I got to see a wide array of practitioners. And then, of course, coming back to the Flint area, I can say that Ken Scott or Judge Heyman in that respect, those people have always provided valuable feedback to me in what I'm doing and how I'm practicing.
Okay, very good, very good. So you are a criminal attorney. Okay, what distinguishes you from doing other work? Tell me about that.
Well, I do other work, but primarily part of my focus has always been criminal law, and that is, I think that's just been a childhood passion, and that is that those who have been accused of a crime deserve to have representation, and not only adequate representation, but excellent representation. And I view myself as an excellent attorney and somebody that if I was charged with a crime, I would like somebody like myself to represent them. So I view the passion that I have to defend somebody as my constitutional obligation. But I also practice employment discrimination, landlord-tenant law, a vast array of civil law. So I have my niche in criminal law, but I view myself as a litigator.
Okay, very good. So your experience then has incorporated both the district court level, state level, as well as the federal level.
That's correct. And I view myself as being not only prepared to be a judge in the 68th District Court, but my practice has emulated exactly what is done in the district court, whether it be landlord-tenant, whether it be a general civil claim, somebody being sued over credit card, non-payment, or something of that nature, or a misdemeanor or a preliminary examination on a felony. So I think I'm not only prepared for the district court, but I think I'm extremely qualified.
I see. So with being an attorney, do you have other organizations or things that you do outside of, the practice?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I don't think you could be a well-rounded person and say that you're trying to serve the community if you didn't do anything for the community. I'm on the board of directors of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I'm going into my second year of that. I sit on the board of directors of the North Flint Reinvestment Corporation, and I believe I'm in my fourth year on that, as well as I served as counsel to the Great Lakes District Baptist Association, and I helped rewrite the Constitution and bylaws, and that took the past couple of years. So it's very crucial for me to be a part of the community, because the community, it takes a village to raise a child, and I'm a belief that I'm part of that village.
Okay, speaking of the village, we didn't get an opportunity to hear. I know you personally do have a family, and you may want to introduce us to your family, if you will. Tell us who they are.
Sure. My wife is LaToya Cotton, and we've been married for 16 years. I have twins, Nigel and Sierra. They are going to be 15 November 6th, I believe, and then my youngest is going to be 13 November 5th. And three wonderful children. I have a stepson also who's a sergeant, gunnery sergeant in the Marines. So we're very proud of our family, and we have a loving bond, and we try to support each other not only in my activities but other family members' activities. My children are involved in music. My youngest is involved in sports. So we try to be involved in everybody else's activities.
That's wonderful. That keeps a balance,
yes,
because
yes.
I know with the kind of work that you do, it can be extremely stressful and to have, you know, other activities, your family, and that kind of support, it really means a lot.
Well, it sure does, and being able to come home and kind of peel off your litigator suit or your attorney suit, and sometimes just being dad is a tremendous relief. It may have its own stresses and own type of problems per se, but it's a different type of stress than, you know, dealing all along with somebody's problems that, you know, years are dependent upon. So I do love coming home and hearing what my children have to say, but more importantly, you know, giving my wife a kiss and just loving life.
Amen. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And the kids are probably telling you, okay, Dad, take off that hat for being the litigator and just be Dad today, right? Yes. Okay. Well, I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, and you said something about some challenges that you had as you went through law school, and you know, you certainly overcame those challenges. And so I'm sure that there have been other probably challenges that you faced here in the community, and I just was wondering briefly if you had any that you might want to, you know, tell the audience about.
Well, you know, the challenges that you have here in the community is that sometimes people will try to guess what your motives are. And my motives to all of my activities that I've done are very pure, and that is, I'm here to help. I look at myself as a resource and being part of the solution as opposed to just naysaying and saying that there's a problem. Everybody can recognize that there are problems. The question is what are individuals doing for those problems and being a solution with respect to those problems. So part of my struggle has been to explain to folks my true motives on things, and that is that I'm driven by my faith in the good Lord, and that I'm trying to be and do what's Christ-like.
Okay, very good. So explaining to people about your motives, because a lot of times when people, particularly candidates, you know, they come into a position or they're looking to move up, we'll say, from, you know, being the attorney to being the judge. And so we want to talk about, are there any other political aspirations that you see yourself engaging in beyond a judgeship or anything like that?
To be honest, I view myself as running for judge and being a judge because I believe I'm qualified, dedicated, and fair. My aspirations are nothing more than trying to serve the public good. So if people believe that I'm doing being a good judge and I'm doing well, then perhaps they will want me to serve in a higher office. But that to me is dependent upon feedback that I receive, hopefully being elected the 68th District Court judge.
Okay. And what are some of the challenges do you see right now with the court system on the 67, 68th district level? Well,
there's some very, very significant challenges, especially in the 68th District Court right now. The 68th District Court does not have a probation department. So it is very hard to have some sort of oversight to the defendants that are in front of the court unless the court takes the initiative and action and shows leadership to monitor those individuals. So one of the things that I would do if elected is that I would institute a judicial review process, knowing that there's not a probation department. So I would want these individuals to come and appear from me to get an update or a status report as to exactly what's going on. So if in fact they were in front of me on some sort of nuisance related crime or something of that nature, I would be able to explain, or hear from them what they have done and how being on probation and how they've taken steps to be a better person so that they won't follow themselves falling into that victim of being a criminal again. So I think being an active participant in the judicial review process, given that there isn't any probation department in 68th, is one thing. But if in fact they do merge, then I would just indicate that I would follow the orders and directives of the chief judge. That would be Judge Ewell in this instance, with respect to synthesizing the two courts together and trying to be not only an effective but an efficient court in the way that it's run and the way that it treats people.
Okay. Now you say a judicial review board. So what I'm sensing is that right now there isn't anything like that in place?
Well, some of the judges do have a judicial review, but not all of them.
Okay.
And I would just indicate that it just seems to me that a court should be unified in its actions. So there shouldn't have any renegades, so to speak, that are doing their own thing. Okay. Because it seems to me that a court should have clarity and speak with one voice and speak with one type of administrative purpose, such that all of the messages to all of the defendants are very consistent. That is, you can be a criminal and be on probation or judicial review and be given an opportunity to demonstrate to the court and to the community that you are not a threat to the community, but more importantly, you are an asset to the community. Mm-hmm. And I think judicial review is something that person can demonstrate.
Okay. Well, that is very interesting, and I think certainly timely. And if we are having the kind of problems as you have indicated, then we certainly want to see some uniformity in that area. Now, what would you suggest to attorneys that are interested in, or I should say people who are interested in becoming an attorney? What would you suggest for them to do?
Oh, that's beautiful. One of the things that I would always suggest to people who are interested in the law is to go down to court and observe the court. Go down not only to the district court, not only to the circuit court, but to the probate court, to the federal court, to see exactly how lawyers operate in those various arenas. And they will get, I think, a understanding that one thing happens one way in the district court, maybe a little bit different in the circuit court, maybe a lot different in the federal court. And a person can see, is there an area of the law that really interests them and really invokes a passion for them? And I would just ask them to see the law, feel the law, breathe the law before you decide that you want to study the law.
Oh, wow. That is good instruction. And I think if a lot of times when people aspire or say they want to do it because it seems such, it's a glamorous job, and it has prestige and what have you, but there's a lot of work.
But see, and that's where my stumbling came. See, the 80s were the LA Law shows and things of that nature. So I had this misconception as to what the practice of law really entailed. And the motivating factor when I initially went to law school at Vanderbilt was, I believe I can make a lot of money. It wasn't, I believe I could help somebody.
Okay.
And that is why I failed and I stumbled, because I wasn't motivated in the right way. And the Jesuits put the motivation and grounded me to really have to understand what is it that you want to do with the law. And how is it that you're going to do it? And what way in which are you going to be a positive voice for those who seek your help? And that fundamentally changed me. And from my experiences, it has made me into who I am today. And the fact that I failed only makes me better, not worse.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so now we get to the nitty-gritty here, because we want to know. We've heard a lot from you, and everything that I've heard, I'm certainly getting to know Glenn Cotton a whole lot better, attorney. And so I am asking now, why should we vote for Attorney Glenn Cotton?
Very simple. You should vote for Attorney Cotton because I'm qualified, I'm dedicated, I'm fair. We'll start the court on time, we'll end the court on time. We'll ensure the public safety, but most importantly, we'll treat people with dignity and respect. I'm the right man, the right time, which is right now. Please, on November 6th, vote for Attorney Glenn Cotton.
Wow, okay. Well, that was very succinct and very much on point. I guess one of the things that I would ask of you to elaborate on is the fact that we have a national election going on, and when people go in to cast their votes, there's going to be a lot of information on there, and sometimes it gets lost. So what would you tell voters in order for them to understand that you are there? What can you tell them?
First and foremost, the judicial elections are nonpartisan. So many folks find themselves that they want to vote on a particular party, and that party affiliation, they'll circle the box and that will be that. That doesn't elect your judicial candidates. So you actually have to go to the nonpartisan section to vote for the judicial candidates and actually pencil in or circle those people's names. Because there are 11 ballot initiatives on this year's ballot, it is important for folks to either have the knowledge of what's on those ballots, or I'm actually advocating people to be absentee ballots. And the reason being is that with 11 ballot questions on, and each question may take 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to read, that could backlog and create a very much of a jam at the polls. Mm-hmm. So in order to anticipate that, I would ask people to get their absentee ballot application so that they could fill out their ballot and take the time and be able to thoroughly read and have an understanding of each one of the questions, but more importantly, that they can go through their ballot, make sure it's thoroughly complete, make sure they voted the way that they wanted to vote, and then it's submitted in a timely manner so that their vote does count.
Great, great. Well, I think that that's some good instruction. I do know that we have, our seniors and, people who are not going to be in the area during the election, and they certainly need to do that. But I think voter education overall is something that a lot of times people, they hear and they don't hear, so it doesn't hurt to reiterate or restate that, that it's necessary that they take the time to read and to know the candidates.
That's correct.
Now, you've been vocal, you've been local as far as going around to various organizations, churches, and things of that nature to get people to understand what you will bring to the table as a judge. Now, the question is, there are, I would say, some initiatives that have already been instituted by others, and I'm wondering what you yourself would bring to the table if you were elected, hitting the ground running. What would you do outside of the judicial review that you mentioned earlier?
Well, first and foremost, I think people are looking for the court to start on time. And one of the things that I believe that is very possible for 8:30 comes around and that judge opens up the building, opens up the court with everybody else and lets them know that they're here for the people, ready to do the people's work. And if in fact things are set up right, I will have sentencings set up first thing in the morning at 8:30. So right from the get, the court starts on time and continues to be an orderly process. So I would not only just have a civil or criminal docket, I would have a blended docket. And my blended docket would be such that it would flow in a manner that there would not be a lot of downtime. And the downtime that would exist would be would allow for the pre-trials to be conducted between the attorneys and the city attorney, or the pre-trials to be conducted between the two parties on a civil matter. But I think there's a lot of time that can be effectively used on day one, that the court docket can be dealt with fairly, but more importantly, that people can be treated with dignity and respect and know that their tax-paying dollars are not being wasted and somebody's not just sitting in the back drinking coffee.
Well, that is very good because, my affiliation with the court system has put me in courts where I've had to sit myself for hours, and, I have other things to do with my other responsibilities in my job. And I think about individuals who have to take time off to come to court and may not be compensated, and their jobs may be in jeopardy for doing that. And then to sit for periods of time and then have to turn around because it may get adjourned, and then they have to subsequently return back. I think that is something that has a lot of people concerned. And so having heard that, I think that that's going to be probably the number one thing that people will be looking for, in you to bring about that change. And so that will be a very good thing.
And I'm looking forward to bringing about that change because it is something that I've heard from many people, and they look puzzled or surprised that somebody would be willing to not only listen to their suggestions, but implement something that they've suggested. And I'm all about representing the people. And to me, the district court is the people's court. And government exists by, for, and of the people. And I look at the courts in the same light.
Great, great. Okay, well, we're almost ready to close out, and I just want, again, to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and join us. And before we close, I want you to give that elevator speech one more time so people will know all about Attorney Glenn Cotton.
Well, again, I'm Glenn Cotton. I'm running for 68th District Court Judge. I'm qualified, I'm dedicated, and fair. We'll start the court on time, we'll end the court on time, we'll ensure the public safety, but most importantly, we'll treat people with dignity and respect. On November 6th, I hope to earn your vote for 68th District Court Judge. Thank you.
I would like to thank our distinguished guest, Attorney Glenn Cotton, candidate for the 68th District Court. The upcoming election is extremely important. We will be voting in the national and state election. There will be several ballot proposals and the state Supreme Court justices. Remember to cast your vote Tuesday, November 6, 2012. This has been the In My Opinion show and your host, Denise Smith Allen. Have a good evening and remember to stay focused. And I might just remember to mention to you that this particular segment of the show has been produced and supported by Attorney Glenn Cotton. Thank you.